because of her anti-American and anti-Semitic views. And not just anti-Semitic and not just anti-American, but violent anti-American and violent anti-Semitic views. Listen to this question from CNN.
An Egyptian woman, her name's Samira Ibrahim, and she's done a lot of things, courageous things. She's also been criticized for sending tweets that are anti-Semitic, anti-American. Does the U.S. need to accept that when we want to make change, you have to support people that do those things financially, in terms of awards, in terms of all these things, because it pays off in the end? Is that a trade-off we have to make?
Okay, keeping in mind you're talking to Laura Bush, hopefully there's a good answer coming?
No, I don't think so, not necessarily.
Thank
I
you.
do think it's really important that we do support women in any way we can. And
Stop.
Wow, is that an amazing,
that's an amazing
unbelievable question.
Should America just accept the anti-Semitic views, the anti-American views, in order to
affect change?
To affect change.
What kind of change are you looking for? Are you looking for a change to Nazism? Well, then yes. Yes, if that's the change you're looking for, yes.
Imagine
the answer is
that.
yes.
Well,
to
but
that.
I mean, all she is doing there
Unbelievable.
is stating the administration's policy, right?
Yes,
That's what we do with Morsi, and it's what we do with Hamas. I mean, Jimmy Carter met with Hamas, and all these things that are we constantly ignore these crazy statements. And they act as if we get past them.
But wait, there is a difference between, and I think this has been our problem, so let me preface it with this. I am no longer a believer in our foreign policy. It does not work. It does not work to say the enemy of my enemy is our friend. It doesn't work. You have to be very clear and be very clear on principles. Otherwise, you confuse the world and you become just like everybody else. Okay, so with that being said, there is a difference between Morsi, who is a leader of state, who you have to sit down and be in the same room with occasionally, and giving an award to somebody who has no power. You're holding them up as an example for people to model themselves after. So there's a huge difference if you believe in the policies of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Huge difference. One you have to deal with. The other is, hey, model yourself after this individual.
No. I think the correct answer here is you don't have to put up with it anywhere. I mean, the administration currently deals with countries this way, and whatever, it doesn't seem to have a positive effect. They continue to get more and more anti-Israel and anti-America, no matter how many things they ignore.
Have somebody run to my house, will you, and get the Neville Chamberlain letter for me. I just purchased a letter from Neville Chamberlain that is remarkable. And it is a Neville Chamberlain, in case you don't know, he was the Prime Minister of England prior to World War II. He was the guy who said, I've met with Hitler, and he's a good guy, and there's going to be peace. And everybody cheered. He is quintessential blindness. And I just won in auction a letter from him for this very purpose, to be able to show you what blindness, where that leads you. Not only did he just dismiss anti-Semitic views, in this letter, it was written to the Hitler Youth, and it was for a magazine for the Hitler Youth. And it said in it, you are the hope. You're the hope for not only Germany, but all of Europe, because your ideals are really so super spectacular. You're holding to those German values and those German principles. And while we might disagree on a few things, you can change the world. That's what Aaron Burnett is suggesting.
Yes.
And that leads to mass genocide. Because you cannot separate somebody from their. Can you imagine? Can you imagine anyone saying that we should accept slavery? Well, yes, he is currently importing and exporting slaves from Africa to around the world. But can't we give him an award anyway if we want to? No. No, we can't.
No, if we want to affect change,
change, though. What he's forgetting is the change.
Yeah, he's
part.
forgetting about we're trying to affect.
We want
change
though, Glenn.
But change to what?
Yes.
Change to what kind of world where that's tolerated?
I know. What a dumb question.
Oh, I wish
dangerous and dumb.
I wish they would have asked me this question because I would have unleashed what Barbara Bush did was. I love her, or Laura Bush. What I love here was the expression of no. I mean, it was like
it was great. It was a great answer.
Is that a joke?
Yeah.
Question? No.
It's sometimes hard to understand how bizarre a question is when you're in an interview situation like that, because you're thinking it's a normal conversation and you're trying to come up with some answer, and you really need to just realize at times the question's so bizarre and ridiculous. There's no answer. I would have
loved her to explain that. I would have loved to say,
what kind of change are you looking for?
What kind of change are you looking for? What do you mean by that? Exactly.
Listen, Puddin', I'm kind of concerned about the kind of change you want.
I don't know if you needed to.
No, you need to because of the stupidity of the question. You've got to play down to that.
Really?
Yeah.
So, hey,
I think so.
Head.
Yeah. Hey, Pumpkin. Hey, Puddin'. Something like that.
I think that might not have been the right approach.
Been a weird one from Laura Bush. In particular.
It would have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have.
I think that is the. Is that the most outrageous question we've heard yet from a member of the press?
That's got to be
and not
close.
like a crazy member of the press.
I would like to see if what was. I'd like to see the whole entire context just to see if she's just trying to state someone's argument, because that argument does exist. And by the way, it was elected by the entire country. So there is. I mean, that is a seemingly at this point in our debate one of the two sides of the argument.
Yeah, that
is just ignore all the anti-Semitism. So
no. Play that question again. I don't think she says ignore. I think she says accept.
Yeah, listen to this.
I'm an Egyptian woman. Her name's Samira Ibrahim, and she's done a lot of things, courageous things. She's also been criticized for sending tweets that are anti-Semitic, anti-American. How does the U.S. need to accept that?
Yeah, to accept.
Yeah, and notice what she says. Hang on. Notice what she says. Let's start from the beginning. Notice she says she's done some very courageous things. Very courageous things.
You know what this is? This is the Hillary Clinton, Margaret Sanger thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. She said some things about genocide with blacks and minorities and getting rid of them, but that doesn't negate her entire career.
But this is also in real time. It's bad enough to say, okay, I mean, Hitler did some really bad things, but he made the Volkswagen
and the Autobahn.
Yeah. Okay, that's bad enough.
Yeah.
And that's what the left does with Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger, I mean,
founder of Planned Parenthood.
Same thing. It's eugenics. It is gas the unfit, and it just depends on who's in charge to say they're unfit. And it was by race. Blacks, you're unfit. Jews, you're unfit. Okay, so when Hillary Clinton dismisses that, it's one thing. However, it seems to you get away with it because it's 100 years old. You don't get away with it with Hitler, but you do get away with it with Stalin. You do get away with it with Mao. You do get away with it with everybody who the left loves. You just don't get away with it with Hitler. That's one thing to say it in the past, which is still horrible. But this isn't the past. This is, yes, it technically is the past. It's September where she said this. So technically it is the past. But she hasn't changed her ways. She's proud of it.
I mean, how old was she in September?
I know. It's hard to remember what any of us were really doing in September.
Could she even vote?
It was youthful indiscretions.
Okay.
Back in September. Listen to it again.
I'm an Egyptian woman. Her name's Samira Ibrahim, and she's done a lot of things, courageous things. She's also been criticized for sending tweets that are anti-Semitic, anti-American. Does the U.S. need to accept that when we want to make change, you have to support people that do those things financially, in terms of awards, in terms of all these things, because it pays off in the end? Is that a trade-off we have to make?
Pays off.
No, I don't think so. No.
Pays off in what way?
So
it pays
great.
off in what way?
Hats off to Laura Bush for
In what way is it paying off?
That's what I can't.
What is the payoff here?
What is the payoff when you're honoring a woman like that? She's done courageous. What are the? But
what are we trying to do? If we prop people up who are anti-Semitic and have anti-American views, how do the Jews and the Americans survive in a world that we are propping up and saying you need your rightful place at the table? That means you're saying your rightful place at the table and with those cute little ideas. But because by the time they have their rightful place at the table, if we haven't corrected those ideas or dismissed those ideas, gotten rid of those ideas, then those ideas have a real place at the table. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and she acts as if it's sort of like a minor cultural difference. Like, while we're negotiating with the Russians, should we ignore that they have the stupid furry hats? I mean, should we really focus on? It's not a stupid difference. It's hatred. It's genocide.
Would Aaron ever say that about women and the Taliban? Do we really need to? Okay, sure, they involve themselves in genital mutilation with their kids. Sure. They are selling their daughters into slavery and into marriage at 8.
Don't we have to accept some of that?
Don't we have to accept some of that?
Change? If we want change?
Don't we have to accept that they believe that, they can kill a woman if she's on the streets alone?
Don't you have to accept some of that?
Don't you have to accept? No, we don't.
But if we want change, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because if you want change, remember the change part.
Change. Let's remember this. Change away from that or a change in us, to that, an acceptance, a deadening inside. That question is so clear. Here's somebody who's not a crazy member of the press. She's not a crazy member of the press.
No, she's not Rachel Maddow or Ed Schultz.
She's not a lefty. She's not. I mean, I don't know what she is, but she's not a crazy person in the press. This shows how far our press is off base and off target. That is a truly frightening question coming from a relatively normal person, a person you've watched 1,000 times on TV. Well, it's CNN. A person you've watched 8 times on TV, and you've never thought she's crazy.